I think we're excited. We got a really good result first game against Colorado, and that really set the tone for us in Leagues Cup. And now we're looking forward to trying to win the group because we know what that means for us and to be able to play at home. So it still holds a lot of importance.
Yeah, all I would add to that is that I think anytime you get a chance to play in, I guess, what has to be considered a brand new competition with a trophy on the line, it's something that's very exciting, I think, for the whole club, for the whole city. I think based on our performance last year, it's really given us an upper hand in this competition, knowing that if we can get a good result against Toluca, we win our group, we have a nice path with home games potentially to the semifinals. So that's something that we're really motivated for. Obviously, great result against Colorado. I think anytime you play against a Mexican team, it's going to be a little bit of a different game. We're really excited for the opportunity to go and play tomorrow.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are going to open the floor for questions. Here with us we have Ben Wright and Claudio Villalobos. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess for both of you, you've never played Toluca before, but there's obviously been kind of a back and forth between MLS and Liga MX recently, and definitely with the U.S. and Mexican national teams. Just kind of what's that atmosphere like playing against a team like that? And do you have any kind of, I know you didn't play against Club America last year, but do you have kind of any memories from that you can take into this?
Yeah, I think MLS and Liga MX has done a really good job of creating more opportunities for us to compete against one another. I think we recognize the importance for us to grow the sport in our countries and our leagues. There needs to be more interaction between the two, and so they've done a good job over the past couple of years, whether it's Campeones Cup or Leagues Cup, to give us those opportunities. And I think the fans are responding in a great way. I mean, there's been so many exciting games already through the first week of Leagues Cup that it really is captivating a lot of attention, good audiences, and it's fun for players as well because it's guys that you don't get to play every week. You don't really know too much about the teams. It presents a new challenge tactically, technically to play in these games. So that's stimulating for a player, and I know I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, to add on to what Walker said, the U.S.-Mexico kind of rivalry and dichotomy, if you will, is something that's always been
really nice.
Had a little extra spice to it. And it definitely stems from the U.S.-Mexico rivalry on the international stage, for sure, which, Walker could speak about more because he's been involved in those games more recently. But if we're being honest, I think the U.S., not only our national team, but also MLS, has come so far in the last, let's call it, 7 or 8 years to really be competitive and on par with the Mexican clubs and the Mexican Federation. I don't think it's unfair to say that they've been dominant in this region for a very long time. The Mexican national team, the Mexican clubs, and now with player development, a lot of investment from our ownership groups, I think MLS is certainly, based on the performances of, CONCACAF Champions League the past couple of years and Leagues Cup, MLS is I think, on par with Liga MX right now. And I think it would be unfair to not mention that every MLS team has home field advantage throughout this tournament. I'll be curious to see how that evolves as the tournament goes on. But it's been a great start to the tournament. I've been tuning into games. It's been really exciting. There's been a lot of spice involved, plenty of red cards, which, is, I think, a perfect encapsulation of how seriously every team is taking this tournament.
And then just going back to I guess Sunday night, not been the easiest few weeks for you guys. I think we've talked about kind of creating chances and how chances were there, just weren't put away. What do you feel like was the difference on Thursday, and how important was it to kind of start out with a win and put yourself in a good position to advance?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, we all know that, Walker is great when he starts the game, but what a super sub, to be able to bring in a full U.S. men's national team player and all-star off the bench to add with the league MVP and Anibal Godoy, one of the better midfielders in MLS. I think that changed the game for us. And the first half, it was a little slow. Certainly, a feeling out process. We hadn't played Colorado since last year. And maybe a little bit of indecision on our part because we have had a really rough month in terms of results. You could tell that we were a little less confident in that first half. But when we brought on those three guys, I think you saw an instant change in the confidence of the group. And that's what happens when you bring on, some of your best players. I mean, that's natural when that happens. And so getting that result, being able to see the game out and against a tough team that was putting pressure on us at the end of the game, I think that'll do wonders for our confidence. Even though it's not in MLS play, the Leagues Cup break actually came at a good time for us. It's great to reset our mindset and be able to really go for this tournament and hopefully be able to not only win some silverware, but qualify for CONCACAF Champions League as well.
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of it.
Is that the perfect answer?
That was a great answer.
Thanks, buddy.
Really appreciative of your kind words. No, I think just to add on to that, I think anytime you coming off the bench, you get the opportunity to watch the game, see what the game might need, see how you can change the game. And so I think for me, it was just wanting to give energy and motivation to the guys. And so I wanted to make sure how can we set the tone? How can we make sure that we just give confidence to the group? And so in my case, it was just the first challenge, I'm going to just go win it. And it happened to be a header and just was able to set a tone there. It got us higher up the field. Schaffelberg does a great job of then stepping up, winning the ball in transition. Hani plays it. Dax with just the number 10 vision that he has. We can't overstate that. I mean, get this guy in the box, good things happen. So, it was a really good start for us to come in and make a difference.
Dax, the conversation amongst fans and other circles around this tournament, it says that maybe some teams are taking this lightly or they're not as interested as they might be on the MLS Cup. As far as you can tell from what you've seen so far, what's your opinion about all this?
I don't see that at all. I see every team taking it very seriously. I go, before some games, if my kids aren't driving me nuts, I'll go and look at the lineups for all these games, and I'll see teams are putting out their strongest lineups. And I think that wouldn't be the case if teams weren't taking the tournament seriously. And so just seeing the beginning of the tournament, it's hard not to mention, what Inter Miami's doing with Messi and Busquets. And those guys were on vacation maybe a week ago. And now they just started against Atlanta and obviously put in a dominating performance. And I just think that shows that there is commitment from every single team in this tournament to go and try to win it. And so I would say that narrative is not something that I see.
Walker, talking about the words that Dax used about Miami, I believe that in the case of Nashville, you're being a more cohesive, collective group from the very beginning. To tell that somebody's going to come in here and just make everything different or better or worse, I don't know. But again, adding anybody else like is happening right now to this team, what does it mean for you guys?
I think, for us, the opportunity to add, a guy like Sam is huge for our team. You see what Messi and Busquets have obviously immediately done in Miami. And so we're looking for just an injection of confidence and ability into our group as well. And so when you look at, our number 9 position, the guys have done a great job, a lot of hard work, but they've taken a brunt of the minutes. And there's going to be big opportunity now for Sam and for Teal and these guys to get a really good, fresh, opportunity to make a difference and score some goals and complement, what Hani's been doing for us this year. So we're excited there. We see what that has looked like in Miami with the addition of Messi and Busquets, and obviously a team that has found themselves at the bottom of the league now in Leagues Cup has found themselves with new hope and a new identity and a new way of playing. And while our changes won't be as drastic because of the good position that we're in, I still think that there's opportunity for us to progress in Leagues Cup, get guys like Sam some more minutes, get his debut under the belt, so that way when the last 10 games come for MLS, we'll be ready for him.
You already stated very well, both of you, the difference about playing against Mexican teams, national team, and all that. Now, besides all the quality that they do have because of the history and stuff, do you expect for these games any type of cheapness there? I mean, anything going on around the middle field that you have probably more than any other games against MLS teams?
Yeah, I think it'd be naive if we didn't expect that. I think every game that you play against not only an MLS team, but also a Mexican team, there's always going to be that passion and that desire. And whether we like it or not, there's always that built-in rivalry. Even if we've never had a game against Toluca, there's always that U.S.-Mexico kind of, rivalry that's built into every game you play. So I'm expecting tomorrow night to be no different. Toluca is probably well aware of how we did against Colorado. We're leading the group. I think they're probably thinking if they get a good result against us, then they give themselves a good chance to advance. And so it's going to be two teams getting after it. And I know that for a fact. We're going to put a strong team on the field, and we're going to try to win outright. We want to make sure that we put a flag in the ground that we're here to win this tournament.
We are going to transition onto the Zoom. We have John Lupo. John.
Thank you. Just two questions. First one for Dax. You pretty much outlined how far MLS has come and how much the league has grown. You've been in this league for 17 years. So do you feel like that in an even broader sense with, as you said, the commitment that MLS teams are showing to putting out their strongest lineups, players like not just Messi and Busquets, but Hani being here, Driussi and Austin being here, Gazdag and Philly being here. Do you feel like this is an opportunity for the league to get even more exposure on an even bigger stage to show just how far it's come?
Yeah, this is year 18 for me. Just a little point of note, aging myself more.
You're not
but
a legal professional.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say that you'd have to look at the addition of Messi and say that it's clear that he is going to bring a lot of eyeballs, more eyeballs to MLS than I think we've probably ever had. And Apple, I think, is a great partner to have. I think that you can watch games all over the world now, and it's just at the touch of your finger, right? And so to be able to have Messi and Busquets here to maybe bring in a new audience so they can see players like Hani, like Gazdag, Luciano Acosta, Lucas Zelarayan, all of these special players that we see every week, but maybe the global audience doesn't get to see. I think it speaks to being able to build up a new audience and being able to see the quality that does exist in MLS. Because I can tell you right now, when I turned pro in 2006, you couldn't dream of where MLS is today. It's completely different. The quality of player that you have is just a level above what was in this league 15, 16 years ago, and that's just a natural evolution. And so, hopefully, some of Messi's 500 million social media followers, they'll start to put more eyeballs on MLS. That would be pretty nice.
Thank you. We have.
No, I had a second question.
We don't have time for that. I apologize. We gotta transition on to coach, and we have somebody else on the chat. So Trey Hills with the final question.
Okay. Just your thoughts on. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks, Christina. Question for the two of you. Dax, you said on the great Major League Journeyman podcast, you know that this national team was needing someone like Sam to come in. You guys have Sam now as a new teammate, someone who can help inject what you guys have been building towards this season. He's a guy who's played in 6 tiers of English soccer, and as someone who has been around MLS for a long time, how do you think that translates on the field? And for Walker, your national team teammate, Ethan Horvath, you playing at Forest. Have you heard from him about who Sam is, what kind of guy he is, and also what he can bring to the team?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think that it would be unfair to the guys that we've had in our locker room that have been contributing the last couple years to not mention how good of a job they have been doing for us. Sometimes I think, especially with the striker position, it's a little bit misunderstood that these guys are just there to score goals and they don't contribute in any other way. So I want to make sure that it's known that the guys that we have been playing, they've been contributing to our success in ways that show up, not just on the score sheet, right? And so I think that's been a really valuable piece of how good we've been, and added to the success of guys like Hani, who's been able to win the MVP award because not only is he a great player, but because he's had great pieces around him that have maybe made his job easier. So that's the first point. The second point is I don't know a lot about Sam. I've met him just yesterday. Seems like an absolutely fantastic guy. Seems like a guy who wants to come in and help contribute right away. I've seen his highlights. He's had some very, very nice goals that he scored in the English leagues. From what I can tell, the Nottingham Forest fans were sad to lose him, and they're very happy that we've signed him because they think he can be a massive piece of what we're doing. And I don't think we would have signed him if we didn't think that he could take our team to another level. So, look, not to put too much pressure on him, but yeah, we think that he's going to be able to come in and complement the pieces that we already have really well. If he's able to come in and contribute and score goals and do the things that our other strikers have been doing so well, I think that he's going to make us a lot better team. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that, I think it was really well said about the guys in our locker room and the guys on the team that have maybe not gotten all the attention for scoring goals and how they complement Hani and contribute to our success. That's really well said. In terms of speaking with Ethan, oddly enough, we haven't talked a lot about on the field with Sam. It was more of like he's a great guy. We love his girlfriend. We love their relationship. We love who he is as a person. And that for me was like all I needed to hear, because I think we have a great group of guys in this locker room, and hearing that piece, that makes me know that everything on the field will kind of take care of itself, knowing that he'll buy into the group. You mentioned the 6 tiers of English football. I think that just tells me that he can embrace the grind. He's going to contribute. He's going to work hard. He's going to sacrifice for the team and put the team above himself. So all those things are really good additions for us, and we're excited to have him.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you taking the time for this week.
Very good. A victory against Colorado, and guys are in a good mental place. I think they're excited by the tournament. They're seeing what we're all seeing. The games that are building in before we play, and there's been some terrific competition thus far in the group stages. I think everyone's very excited by what's going on, and you can tell with the attitude of the guys that they're looking forward to the game tomorrow night. It's real good atmosphere.
We are going to open the floor for questions. We have Ben and Claudio. Ben, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Gary, obviously yesterday you guys just announced Sam Surridge as your new signing. It feels like you've kind of been looking for answers kind of at the number 9 position for a little bit. What do you think he brings to the team, and do you think he's the answer to those questions?
Well, I truly hope so, Ben. It's been a while trying to get this deal done. I know that Mike's done a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes to make this happen. Sam's an individual that we all looked at an awful lot. I think some of the qualities have already been stated in social media and on the websites. He's got a number of different qualities that I think are going to help the side massively. The most important one, of course, is that in and around the penalty area, he's got a good eye for goal, and he can score goals in different ways. He's good size, takes the ball in the air, 2 good feet, capable of creating an opportunity on his own. But if you add to that a very genuine individual, his background tells us that without the ball, he's going to be a very good team player. Athletically, he's in a really good place. And as a focal point, he's a good size, he has good techniques. And I'm hoping that, that quality that he brings is going to maybe even bring a little bit more out of some of the other guys as well. So there's numerous areas that he helps the team, but absolutely delighted to have him in the building.
Looking back at your past DP strikers in Jandra and Ake, felt like maybe there was a little bit of trouble getting them integrated into the group, and then having them kind of maintain a consistent spot in the lineup. I'm curious, from your perspective, do you feel like you and your staff have taken anything from that, and how do those kind of past experiences, how have those shaped the signing of Sam and how you're planning on utilizing him?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there's always lessons to be learned from the very outset of identifying a player to then that integration and the understanding of how they fit into the group, and of course their acclimation. And excuse me, some of the issues that we encountered, unfortunately, were unforeseen. How players were going to come into the group, the sort of physical condition they were going to be in. In Yonder's case, really sadly for him, we went through that COVID period, and I think that made life incredibly difficult for how he settled into the group. But ultimately, I think in Sam we have a guy who, certainly, as I think Mike stated in his press release, fits the DNA of the group. If you look at what he's about, where he's come from, what type of player he is, the mentality of the individual. I think there are a lot of things that the players in the group are going to see and understand a little bit quicker than maybe one or two of the other guys.
And then just really quick, obviously Randall came off injured. You mentioned wanting to wait 24, 48 hours to get an update on him. How is he looking, and do you have an update on Jack as well, who's missed the last 3?
Yeah, I was very pleased to see Randall walking in unaided and looking fairly normal into video this morning, which was really good news. We're, 48 hours just gone beyond the problem. I think Randall's certainly going to be a couple of weeks, I would think, but the update on timelines will come from Yoshi in the next couple of days. But he's definitely in a better place than I think anyone anticipated as he walked away on crutches on Sunday. Jack's in a good place. I think he's into the sort of final tests and on-field movements that are going to hopefully tick the box and say that he can join in with the group when we resume after the Toluca game.
Claudio, go ahead.
Gary, you already stated a little bit of it, but I would like to have better lot of opinion in terms of what you've seen on this tournament so far, the level of competition, and overall what you've seen already for his first year of this tournament, and also does it prepare the team a little different when it comes to play a Mexican team? We know we had the experience with America last season, but that was just a friendly, a little bit different. Now it's for points. How different that is?
Yeah, the first part of that, I mean, I've watched a number of the games, and a couple of things strike me. The first one is, I do think the way that this group stage has been set up with that extra point for penalties, I'm sure plenty of coaches looked at that and thought, how's that going to work? It's a little bit different, maybe too extreme. But it's actually created quite a unique situation with regards to teams going through. We saw last night with Houston, Santos got back in the game, but that penalty shootout win has kept them alive. And you could tell that, it meant an awful lot to the group. So I think that's the first thing, the way that this has been set up, I think has created a really good sort of pipeline towards those knockout games, if you like. The second thing is, as I look at some of the Mexican groups who I certainly don't have an awful lot of experience with, the competition against the MLS groups in what will be, a very quick and purposeful competition, you're finding some exciting games. I didn't see all of the Houston game because I was like probably millions of other people watching the Miami game, and when I tuned in, it sounded like Houston were, lights out in the first half, and Santos, really turned the tables on them in the second period. But I think the teams are finding an awful lot about the Mexican groups as they go through the games, And I think the same will be said tomorrow night for Toluca. There'll be a lot to be learned in the early exchanges for both teams. What we should expect and what I have seen at the Mexican sides are well and truly up for this competition. It's been positive, energetic, competitive, end-to-end stuff at times. Chances galore in most games. If you look at the Miami Cruz Azul game, I thought Cruz Azul were terrific, and in many ways should have been in a unassailable position before Messi came onto the field. But I think you can see the qualities in the Mexican groups, which we all expected anyway. So I would expect nothing different tomorrow night against Toluca. We've prepared for a side that are very, very positive, very effective if they can get themselves in the attacking half of the field. An aggressive look to their group, and extremely capable if they can get on top. My hope is, of course, that we can get off on the right footing and show what we have done in a lot of home games. But I think in the main, preparation for these groups will take place, and there'll be a lot taken out of the games. For example, Colorado watching us play against Toluca. I think there's only so much we can find out in 3 league games that Toluca have had already at this stage of their season. As I looked at their work, they had 2 games where players had been sent off, one for themselves and one an opponent early on in games. So it starts to become a little bit fragmented. So I do think as this tournament progresses, you're going to find out a lot more about those groups.
We are going to transition onto the Zoom. John Lupo, I'm going to give you the permission to speak now.
Thank you. I'll just get my 2 quick questions.
We have time for only one, John. I'm sorry.
All right. All right. So you mentioned, Gary, that that Toluca like to be aggressive if they can get the ball. Do you feel like that? Obviously, possession will be key, and we know how good you are defensively. So do you feel like just being able to keep the ball from them, playing strong defensively? Maybe we'll see Sam. Maybe we won't. Do you feel like that those may be the keys in order to prevent them from fully getting into their attack?
Honestly, I think there's more than one quality needed to win this game. For sure, to be positive early on, both sides of the ball. I certainly don't want to sit too deep against this group. You haven't seen us do that for a long, long time. I think an aggressive outlook, generally is the way to start this game. And if we can put ourselves on the front foot, I think it takes away, even some of that emotional positive feeling for Toluca. The things we have to be, truly careful of are the way that they transition in the game. They've got some very talented players, and there's no doubt if they can get themselves into a bright and maybe highly motivated position on the ball, then it's going to be a problem. But I'm expecting that we'll come out of the traps here. I think there's some excitement from the victory on Sunday night, and everyone's looking forward to this.
Dre Hills, go ahead.
You've coached at Stevenage before, so you're familiar, obviously, from a coaching standpoint and the different tiers of English football. Considering Sam and the fact that he's played pretty much in the top 6 tiers over there, what from the skill set point of view, I guess, what do you think can apply in MLS, and how do you think he can enforce himself on the field? And what have you got to know about him? I guess 24 hours that you got a chance to meet him.
Well, look, first and foremost, Sam has certainly out on loan from some of his parent clubs has experienced the different levels of football. And I think that what that does is it gives you an experience and some foundation in your mental and physical world. Make no mistake, it is not easy to play, Scunthorpe on a Tuesday night when you're a young man and you're trying to find your way. And I'm using that as an example. So he's had a good grounding. He's played at some very good levels. He's featured in the national setup. He's an intelligent boy, and he's technically very, very capable. And what he has been able to do is prove that he can score goals at all levels. We've seen some terrific transitions from the English game, especially, and I would, after example, Bradley Wright Phillips coming in at New York Red Bull and being so successful and so capable. And when you see those type of players come over and how impactful they can be, and certainly with the experiences they've had, you know, I see many similarities in the way that Sam could transition and how effective he could be. Different players, of course, but certainly more than capable of having a huge impact in this league. As far as Sam himself, he's a terrific lad, very down to earth, very humble lad. I'm sure he'll fit in with the group. Transition will be extremely smooth.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time. And a quick reminder to everybody.